Good morning, everyone. I'm just coming out of Melmerby, which is just off the A1 near Ripon, near the A61 turning on the A1 to Ripon. It wasn't supposed to be windy today, but it is, and still a chill in the air. I thought it would be calm and quite warm, but hey, let's see. It's only mid-morning at the moment on a lovely but windy Saturday morning at the end of April. I'm just warming up, and then I'll give you a rundown on things, where we're going, etc. If you can hear me over the wind, I apologise in advance for sound distortion. Quite cold around the ears as well, I'm really surprised. Anyway, I'm raising the bar again today. As you know, I'm having to build up again after months of, well, about nearly a year, no, not quite a year, of downtime due to a knee injury, some annoying pelvic floor issues, and the final illness and death of my mum, plus all the complicated and stressful legal stuff that has gone alongside mum's death. Maybe more on that later, but anyway, that's just a summary of why I've been off the road. But as you know, I've done four road rides now this year, and I filmed one of them, the Fountains Abbey ride, which was ride number 2. Ride number 3 I didn't film. It was the day before yesterday. I was raising the bar a bit, and I did 26 miles, but a relatively easy-going course near Easingwold. But today, my cycling coach wants me to do 30 miles, which I haven't done for some time. I've done 30 miles on the flat Tarka Trail in Devon a year ago, but this one is a bit raising the bar. It's a ride I've done before, but I haven't filmed for quite a while. Different time of year now, circumstances have changed, and also this ride is a challenge. So I thought I'd film it again. I was in two minds as to whether to film it or not, but I will, obviously, I am. Mainly because it takes so long to edit it. We're turning left here. And then we're going straight on. We will come out there later on, all being well. Hello, sheep. Right, this ride. First part of it is relatively easy going to warm up. It goes through various villages, heading up in the direction of Bedale, though we don't actually go as far as Bedale, but almost. We go through Snape, the village with the castle and the really spooky chapel that I've videoed a couple of times. Please check back on my videos. I'll try and remember to put a link at the end of the video to my spooky visits to Snape Chapel. My husband was so impressed with Snape Chapel, he took a Maltese friend of his who was over here for a holiday, took him to see it, and he was suitably impressed too. And thank you to one of my followers who told me, or subscriber should I say, who told me it's supposed to be haunted by the ghost of Catherine Parr because she lived there, Henry VIII's sixth wife. Though I don't know. Anyway, so there, I'm going through Snape, and after that we start a bit of climbing, and then finally coming down to Masham, home of Theakston's beer and Black Sheep beer. Then we take a side road passing Swinton Hall, and then some proper climbing. Before winding our way through various villages to Ripon, and then back following alongside the old Ripon railway back to Wath, and then Melmerby where I began. So all being well, that's the plan. There is a cut-off if beyond Swinton Hall I get tired. I can shorten the ride slightly by going on a detour through Gruelthorpe, so I'll make a decision then. Avoiding potholes. Got really annoying grinding going on in the first gear, but always seems to be a payoff if you want smooth changes onto the big chainring with this bike. You seem to have to put it with a little grinding at the other end. One day I'll get a new bike, but not yet. Right, we're coming up to a junction, we're turning right. Just nice, peaceful countryside all the way to Snape. It's a beautiful time of year. The trees are all coming into leaf. The oilseed rape is out, bright yellow, but it's still got a nip in the air. We go straight ahead at the main road. Kirklington. This is where I parked when I did the Melmerby Railway Bridge Bedale ride. It's a pretty little village. Now, since I retired from my copywriting, marketing, advertising business, I've been doing crafting, mainly sewing. I've been doing craft fairs, and I've sold quite a lot of stuff. This week's been a successful week. Little plug, check it out. I've got a Facebook page. I'll put a link below if you want to take a look. So it's a shameless plug. In Stitches, Yorkshire. One word. I mainly make upcycled products, upcycled jeans is the thing at the moment, which are really popular. That's where I went when I went down to the Melmerby route. I'm just thinking, it wasn't the Fountains Abbey one, the last one I videoed, of course. It was Kirkham Priory and the big climb. That was a challenge, and I just had to walk up the steepest corner, but I think I did really well, all things considered, and it was quite short. I think it was about 20 or under 20 miles. And so my cycle coach said, hey, maybe that was a bit too much too soon, and I'm trying to build back up. So he instructed upping the mileage but on a flattish course, which is what I did the day before yesterday. And today he prescribed upping the mileage again to 30 miles, but on a flattish, quite undemanding course without steep climbs. So I hope this one isn't too extreme. Not extreme in terms of what I used to do, but extreme in terms of building back up again. I want to prove that I haven't lost it at 67 years old. 68 in October. 50 years ago was the glorious summer of 1976, one of my best summers ever. Do check out my book on Amazon. It's in my name, Beth Mattox, about the summer of 1976. It's the year I took up cycling a bit more seriously than I'd done in my teens. In my teens, earlier teens, I just cycled to school and back, things like that, because people did in those days. Or to Girl Guides or whatever. Then I took it to a new level 50 years ago, cycling out into the countryside around Leeds from my home on a crazy little bike, one of those bikes with tiny wheels and a tartan kind of case thing on the back, saddlebag thing, big thing. But then it all went on hold again for a number of years. Did a bit of cycling on and off, owned a couple of bikes on and off before I took it up again properly. I think it was 2015, which would be 11 years ago. So that was a big gap. Look at these beautiful tulips and the bluebells. Carthorpe, where we turn left towards Snape. Here we turn left. 3 miles to Snape. Bit of a break from the wind. Don't speak too soon. Bit of wind again. So how is my knee injury getting on? Well, it's still there. It's definitely still there. I say it's about 85% better. I don't know if it ever will be. They say it doesn't. Meniscuses, especially when you're older, because it all gets tied up with degenerative stuff. And I'm still having to sleep. When I lie on my back, I have to stick a pillow under my knee because it won't stretch out straight. And I'm aware of it when I'm cycling, but as the physio said, the physio consultant, this is the proper guy, said a bit of pain is okay, a lot of pain is not okay, but a bit of pain can be managed with ibuprofen so it doesn't get inflamed, bring down any inflammation. I do not want to get to a stage where I have to just give up and sit in an armchair for the rest of my life. God forbid. Oh yeah, and I've also, don't forget, I'm falling apart. There's the carpal tunnel going on. I had that injection a couple of months ago, still working. It's like a headache when you take paracetamol. You forget that you had a headache until it comes back. And I'm seeing a hand specialist in June, so we'll see what he says. Though if I have to have an operation, that'll put me out of action for a few weeks, unfortunately. So I don't really want that until later in the year. Because I spent last summer sitting in the garden instead of cycling. can see the castle ahead. Historical home of the Neville family. And as I said, Catherine Parr, 6th wife of Henry VIII. Hello. We're not going to go to the creepy chapel today. Hello. St Mary's Chapel. Don't know if you can see it. No, we're not going to go to the chapel. It's just such a strange place because part of it is obviously lived in, but other parts are shut up, like the blocks off windows in the towers, and now you've got the creepy chapel and the sort of, one of the windows is kind of cut off. That left-hand window, it's a bit strange. And then the ruin starts at the end of the chapel, and behind that it's all ruined. If you check out my other video, you'll see more of the ruin. And inside the creepy chapel. It's a very strange place. Strangely fascinating. Some more windows boarded up there. I wonder if that dates back to the window tax back in I think it was the 18th century. Or maybe the rooms are so terribly haunted that they needed to block them off. This ride, of course, takes us past the other ancient little chapel, the one in the it's called the Lepers Hospital, it was known as, even though it's a chapel, in Ripon. Later on in the ride, which has its own little story attached. So up here is the first sort of incline of any, well, it's not serious, I think it's just doable. if I remember. I once got a flat along here, flat tyre, because of all the hawthorn bushes. Right, just checking in, we've done 10 miles, so a third of the way through that easy part. Well, the last part's easy as well, ish. Interesting ride though this. You've got Snape, well, apart from the lovely countryside, you've got Snape Castle and its chapel. You've got Masham, excuse me, which is a nice little place. Ripon and the Leper's Chapel, and you can see, if you want, it goes past near where the old Ripon railway station is, now apartments. And then I think it's called, is it Sutton Conyers house, which Charlotte Bronte stayed at, and it is said she got her inspiration for Mad Bertha Rochester in her novel Jane Eyre. Talk more about that later. This will be lovely later in the year when it all turns golden. Never know if it's barley or wheat or corn. Seems it's a bit early for the hawthorn blossom to come out, unless it's been and gone. I think it'd be a week or so, judging from last year. We got the bluebells. which are really purple, mauve, kind of the same colour as lavender, and you wouldn't say lavender was blue. Which brings me to that nursery song, Lavender Blue, diddle diddle. My cycle coach says if you can talk while you're climbing, that is good. That means you're on track, not overdoing it. See if I can talk later on. We do go downhill again as we head into Masham, and a very steep short climb. Very short, into the market square. We used to argue as to whether Masham is pronounced Masham, as it's spelt, or Masham, but I think it's Masham. Just like we argue about cream teas, does the clotted cream go on the scone first, or does the jam? My son and me are continually arguing about that. He says jam first, cream last. I say cream first, jam last. How about you? And as I found out, to my cost, on a long bike ride, it's a number of years ago now, halfway around the ride I had a full cream tea, a proper Devonshire cream tea, before completing the ride, which included a number of steep inclines, and my guts were not happy. No, they weren't. That sign always used to make me smile as a child. Visions of an enormous plant pot being carried across. Oh, it's a quarry. Not very picturesque. Right, left here, have that very pleasant downhill section. 1 mile to Masham. Ice. So a nice ride into Masham, apart from where we joined the main road, but only briefly. Alright, we're reaching the main road here where we take a right over the bridge into Masham. And then we take a left up the hill into the marketplace. If you head down there on the left, you get to the old Masham railway station where I once went and videoed. It's further than I thought it would be. Across the beautiful river Ure. Wonderful to hear foreigners try and pronounce that, or people who aren't from around here. Masham. And we take a left up to the marketplace where that cyclist have just come out. A short climb here. There's a little market going on. We turn left here. We'll be turning right. That's sad, that bench. That bench there, last time I was here, and for a number of years, it was called the Friendship Bench. And it says if you sit here, when you feel alone, someone will come along and chat to you. But it isn't anymore, that's so sad. Mind you, they have or has one in Laverton just along here, and I sat on the friendship bench and no one came along, so maybe that's why. Yeah, it's either the Illingworths, the Cunliffes, or the Listers. Cunliffe, I think, who owns it. Own it. I shall have to check. Over a little stream. And then we go uphill to this hall. Here we are at the very posh Swinton Park. There's all sorts here. Cookery school, all sorts. Birds of prey. Clay pigeon shooting, because my husband does that here sometimes. Whew. It's a strange mixture of mock Gothic and Georgian. Right, onwards and upwards literally now. Bit of climbing. Coming up soon. So we're just doing a bit of gradual climbing before a couple of bigger climbs. Do have the option at the top of the first climb to turn off to Grewelthorpe, but let's see. I should be a bit annoyed if I do that. We're now about halfway through the ride, nearly 15 miles. And this is the trickiest bit of the ride, really. So we'll take it easy and slowly. We take a left here. Well, it's not really a left, is it? must be so easy on an e-bike. Oh. I think this is where you turn off if you're going to Grillthorpe. We're heading up to kind of moorland up here towards Pateley Bridge. Still climbing, but fingers crossed. I think we did the phone box climb and I think they'd remove the phone box, fingers crossed. It's only 265 metres. Well, remember that's metres, not feet, above sea level. Yeah, different. I used to have this calibrated so it showed feet, and that's why maybe I'll need to change that. So I keep thinking, oh, I haven't climbed too far, and then I forget it's not feet. A jumble of imperial and metric measurements. Gorse, beautiful yellow. Always makes me think of coastal walks in Devon and Cornwall. Lots of gorse. We take a right. Here we are. We go up here. It's like we go three sides of a square. As the crow flies, you go straight through there, but obviously, for whatever reason, the road doesn't. So far, I don't want to speak too soon, but so far I'm pleased with my progression, despite a niggling knee, but I think that's a permanent fixture now, unfortunately. But cycling is a good sport for that, because you're not putting too much pressure on your joints. So they say, but I think when you're going up hills you do. So that's the first side of the square. If you go up there, which you can probably only do on a mountain bike, it takes you towards Pateley Bridge. There are a couple of climbs, but fingers crossed not too bad. And we've got the easy section into Ripon. Oh, a nice downhill section now. Useful view across there. Loft house up there, that's takes you to Pateley Bridge. Sometime I plan to go that way, but haven't done it yet. Farmhouse with a strange missing roof. Still got its beams. That was a wonderful downhill section. Yeah. It's 20 miles, 2/3 of the way through. Well done. Well done me. And yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine. Here we are at Kirby Malzard. We take a right along here. Here we go, left up a little climb towards Galfay. Four and a half to Ripon. can smell the wild garlic. Right, I think we've got a relatively easy ride into Ripon now. Fingers crossed. You can see Ripon Cathedral in the distance. And also see the spire of Studley Royal Church, Fountains Abbey, because we will be joining that main road into Ripon, the same road, but a bit further along. Oh, we turn left on the main road into Ripon. It's not bad. It's not a bad ride, but I'll probably skip that bit on the video. My earlier videos of around here, you'll know the rather unsavoury character lived there a few centuries ago. More in a moment. Lepers Chapel. We've been here before. And the story is to do with the bell, which you may or may not know if you've been watching my earlier videos from a few years ago. I'm staring at the bell because I'm trying to work out what it's made of, because the story goes that the Dean of Ripon Cathedral, who presumably lived in the old deanery which we passed, had a drink problem and he needed money to pay for his booze, and so he or his minions trundled down here and they stole the bell from here and had it melted down so they could sell it to pay for booze. And he replaced it with a wooden bell, as if anyone wouldn't notice when they try to ring it. It doesn't sound very much like a bell, does it? Looks now like they've replaced it with a proper bell. But anyway, it had this wooden bell. But we have been in before, so maybe check back. Check back on my other videos if you want to see inside it and hear more of its story. I mean, it says here, it was founded by the Archbishop of York in 1114 to 1140, thereabouts, to serve the hospital or almshouses which stood around it. now gone, unless they were part of it. Got some Victorian almshouses opposite now. The hospital had a particular care for lepers and blind priests, which is why it's known as the Lepers Hospital, actually. So, even though not a hospital as such, it's a chapel. Somewhere around here on the right that the old railway line crossed the river, because the station is on the other side of the river. The station building is still there, obviously no trains nowadays, so it sort of went across there, and we will be crossing the road bridge over the river. We won't go and have a look at the old station building, that's on another video. The old station building is up there. Right, welcome back. I skipped the bit alongside the A61. You don't actually cycle on it, but you cycle alongside it, but it's not very beautiful. So now we're on the stretch back to Worth and then Melmerby, where we began, which has a couple of sort of mini hills, but nothing too drastic. And we are following the old railway line, which at the moment was on the left, coming out of Ripon station, heading to Bedale. One of Beeching's cuts would have been a really well-used commuter line had it not been axed. Going from Bedale, Ripon, Harrogate, Leeds, London, and lots of other places. It was a main line too, it wasn't a branch line. There was a branch, went off to Masham station, but the actual line to Bedale was a main line with main line locos, but Beeching, in his stupidity, decided it was not worth keeping, so let's get rid of that. Nasty person. As I think I said on another video, he's obviously long passed away, and I really would like to think that he is sat in a perpetual traffic jam on the motorway, just not able to get anywhere, and that is his purgatory for axing some really popular, well-used railway lines. Oh, it's Hutton Conyers, I said something else earlier on, something Conyers, Hutton Conyers and Hutton Conyers Hall, which you can't see from, oh, it's windy again, you can't see from this road, unfortunately, is where Charlotte Bronte got her idea for Bertha Rochester, the mad woman in the attic at Thornfield Hall in Jane Eyre. If you look at pictures of the hall, it looks nothing like what Thornfield Hall was imagined as, with its castellated ramparts and stuff like that, and where the mad woman would have jumped off. Hutton Conyers Hall has more of a sort of North European look to it, sort of Dutch gables. But there is a legend there that a woman once lived there who was crazy and was locked up in the attic. And obviously, when Charlotte Bronte stayed there, I don't know why she stayed there, but when she did, she presumably got fascinated and inspired by the idea of the mad woman in the attic. And the rest, as they say, is literature history. Other people stayed there too of note. I think Charles I and James II. Oh, I don't know. Someone else stayed there. I don't know why. You can visit it. It's privately owned. But check it out online if you want to find out more. I've not actually reached the location of the hall yet. But one landmark we have reached is I've done 30 miles. 30 miles. First time I've done 30 miles since I think I did the Tarka Trail, which is an easy 30 miles, a year ago. But I used to do 30 miles and more a lot, and anyway, this is good because it's proved I can, and this also proved this ride is slightly longer than 30 miles. I'll get a slap wrist from my cycle coach, but I'm glad I've done this ride. I haven't finished yet. It's not over till the fat lady reaches her car at Melmerby. It's unusual. It's a bungalow built of wood, or a house built of wood. Unusual. Rat, dead rat. So we're back into a bit of a headwind, and again apologise for any distortion of sound when I try to remove the wind as much as possible. Because the microphone on the GoPro is really sensitive. This is the hall that I was on about, coming up, or one of the entrances. Obviously an unused entrance, really. Spooky iron gate. Oh, it's not. Oh my God, there's so many Conyers, aren't there? Norton Conyers. I was thinking it was Norton, whereas that was Hutton Conyers village. This is Norton Conyers house in there, hidden away. With the mad woman in the attic. So Conyers must be like the local name of places. Little squirrel. Yeah, originally I thought it was Sutton Conyers, then I said Hutton Conyers, and then it's Norton Conyers. Just thinking those Victorians and even pre-Victorians travelled a lot, didn't they? Long distances. Sometimes on the train, when it became, more popular and more lines were laid, more routes. But before that, it must have been quite an undertaking, because Charlotte Bronte came here among other places. Anne Bronte was down at Little Oosburn, that's it, where I do some of my rides. She was there, and with Bramwell, who had an affair with the lady of the house and got kicked out in disgrace. And then Anne Bronte, she ended up in Scarborough, that's where she died. And all three of them went to London, didn't they? See the publisher. So this is Worth. Which is not too far from where we began. Now the easiest way back is to carry on the right, but a couple of years back I discovered a much more scenic route, which is here on the left. And we cross the old railway line. Forgot to point out earlier on where the railway line crossed but I did it on another video. Been cycling for 4 hours. Haven't really taken a break. Bit of a mini climb here, but it's much prettier than the other way. Here's the old railway line. So sad it's not there any longer. I think, though, this was the branch to Masham, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. Pretty little brick bridge. This is where we meet. That's where we went out on. And now we turn right back to Melmerby, which is 3/4 of a mile. Oh, the wind has gone. So my Garmin is telling me just over 33 miles. Whoa! Well done me, big pat on the back, high five, congratulations, well done. Yes. And feeling okay apart from a little niggle in my knee. Onwards and upwards. And we're coming back into Melmerby now. So just warm down, or rather cool down. My coach always says warm down, but I'm sure it's cool down. So around about this point I'll say thank you for watching, and please subscribe. Hello. Please like, and please comment. Nice comments, please, kind comments. And do check out my other videos, which go back to 2015 at least, and all over the place. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.